You are listening to You've Got 5 Options show,
where every week Marta and Anna abandon their 5 children, 2 partners, and 1 cat to make a show especially for you.
An artist, a challenge, a bullshit, a wisdom, and a surprise. Tune in and feel the magic of 5.
Hello, everyone. This is Marta.
And this is Anna.
And this is You've Got 5 Options show.
Yes, and today we have a treat for you because we have actually kidnapped a speaker from TEDx Aarhus 2019. And he is here, immobilized, sitting in a chair next to us, in between us, actually. And he agreed to be a guest on our show. Hello, Bryce.
Hello, hello.
Hello, hello. So we have really a treat because you are a professional public speaker, I could say, right now.
Yeah.
Yes.
In a sense, yes.
So it will be difficult to stop you.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, we will
I'm
manage.
long-winded.
Yes, we will manage. Plus, you are a native speaker, so I hope that you will enjoy this hour when we will basically butcher your mother tongue.
All right. Let's go.
Let's go.
Let's do it.
That was very merciful of you. Thank you very much. Before we will get to the actual show, I would like to remind you guys that we are still voting for the best story from our Halloween special episode where 3 of our listeners sent a really scary, spooky, true stories that they happened to them. And on our website, the 5options.com, 5 as a number, you can find Halloween Storytelling Co-Petition Vote. And then you go there and you can hear actually 3 beats, 3 stories and vote for the best one because I have decided that I will not decide who won. The audience, the listeners will decide. So I just like to remind you that the voting is until the end of November. So guys, go on your mobiles, go on your computers and vote for the best story. They were spooky, Dennis, right? We were doing that show together.
Yeah, 2 of them were spooky.
2 of them. One was not so spooky.
Yeah.
But we will not tell you which one. You have to find out by yourself, on yourself. So please listen to stories again and revisit the episode. It was really spooky and creepy. And vote for the most scary or scariest. Bryce?
Scariest. You can also say most scary.
Right?
But scariest sounds better to me.
I had the same problem with most stupid or stupidest. Because I think it's stupidest, but it sounds like...
I feel like more stupid is the proper way, but I grew up saying stupidest.
Yeah,
So,
and that actually is the correct way, Bryce. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. But I say most stupid, and I feel most stupid when I say most stupid. Yeah. But without further ado, let's introduce Artist of the Week.
Supermoon Music brings to you Artist of the Week.
This time, Dave from Supermoon Music had nothing to do with bringing this artist, although if not Dave, who took care of my child, which is also coincidentally his child, while I was on TEDx Aarhus, maybe we wouldn't be able to meet Brian. No, Marta, you would interview him anyway, right?
I guess so.
Yeah.
And I think it's a very long shot to credit that to Dave.
No, I'm not crediting. I'm just thinking that we have that jingle, Supermoon Music presents Artist of the Week. And obviously, Dave is not presenting Bryce. We are presenting Bryce because we met him and we have him here. Hello, Bryce. You know that you are our Artist of the Week, right?
I know now if I didn't before.
Yes, we have prepared him.
I was actually confused because I was like, oh, I get to listen, to an artist with them and stuff like that. But then I realized,
Bryce, can you sing?
No.
No?
No, it depends. It depends. Sometimes I can. You know what? When I'm with my son, he tells me I can sing. So he says, oh, then it good, Dad. And so I'm like, okay, cool. I can sing. Then when I'm with his mother or, maybe, I don't know, if I sing for you guys, it might be a different story.
Okay.
Of course, we all can sing in the shower. But
that's true. We are all Celine Dion under the shower.
Yeah, exactly. But professionally, or if I'm gonna go make an album tomorrow, probably not.
Okay, and how old is your son?
He is 3 years old.
Okay, I would say that his judgment is probably biased because he loves you very much, and you are the dad.
All right,
but you can give it. You can give it a
I'll
try.
take it. I'll take it.
Well, you have
it gives me confidence.
You have a great radio voice, so I'm pretty sure you could pull it off.
Yeah.
So you could pull it off something. But you are the artist of the week because let's start with saying that you are a professional dancer and entertainer.
Yes.
And also a public speaker. So I consider all three of those as an art, a form of art. So that's why, Dennis, you are... not Dennis, Jesus. I look at Dennis. That's why I say Dennis. That's why Bryce... Dennis is always here, yes. That's why I consider you the artist of the week. So
Nice.
Bryce, please tell us, how did you actually end up... I don't know where. I have three questions. In Denmark, on TEDx, and in the studio. So you can choose with the one that you would like to start.
Okay. I ended up in Denmark. We'll just go chronological order.
Let's do that.
So I moved to LA via New Jersey / Philly to pursue dance. And I pursued it as I was pursuing the entertainment world of it. So the tours, the TV shows, and things like that, And at that point, I had been dancing. This was back in 2009, 2010. I had just got kicked off of my round, and So You Think You Could Dance. And what happened was, and with that, just a quick little thing, what happened was with that is instead of getting on the plane to go back home, I just, after talking to my dad on the phone and a couple other people, decided, okay, I'm going to stay. So I ripped up the ticket, took the $160 out of my pocket, caught a shuttle, which was $35. So that, now, and you do the math, then I had to find a motel room for the night before I found my friend. So yeah, long story short, I ended up in LA, staying there. I lived there for about a year and a half, 2 years, I think. And I was teaching a workshop in house dance. And she's now a friend of mine now, but her name is Frederica Halber. Danish names I suck at, but
you're not the only one.
I feel better. So she hit me up later and asked me, "Yo, we would love the students here and really need what you have to offer. Could you come teach?" And so, I said yes, of course. And that was in, I want to say, 2011. And that started the process. I really started liking Denmark. Never heard of it before coming here, but then really liked it and just met really good people. And just been coming back and forth ever since. And yeah, that's how I ended up staying here. And then that's how I ended up here. How I ended up staying here was I fell in love with my son's mother. And we're separated now, but I fell in love with her. We still love her to death. And we had a 3-year-old little boy. And, between her and him, I saw no reason to be even thinking about going back to the States. So, yeah.
Okay, so it's a very typical story when a person comes here, meets the Viking, female or male, and then is getting, into a relationship. I think a lot of international people end up staying in Denmark because of love.
Yeah.
So
that's been my experience in conversations. So I guess I don't know about you guys.
We are the odd ones. We are the absolutely crazy ones, having partners from different continents. And staying here nevertheless. So
we came as an exchange students. Our semester is still keep on going after a decade or more. So
okay.
So this is how we came to study. So and actually the partners we have, exactly as Marta said, are not Danes.
Yeah.
So
I noticed you have Rodriguez in your name, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, that's not Danish.
No. Although if it would be Danish, how it would sound, Dennis?
Rodriguez.
Rodriguez.
How we pronounce it in Danish?
Yeah.
Rodriguez.
Okay, not so bad.
No.
Not so bad. Okay.
Dennis is
It's
very
really
kind.
hard to change the Spanish language. That's why I love it so much. You kind of just have to say it with the Spanish swag.
Yeah. Okay, so you are here for some years now. And how did you end up at TEDx then? Because you live in Copenhagen and TEDx was in Aarhus.
Yeah.
So how did you make the connection?
No, I did a workshop for this organization called Move Copenhagen. And at the end of it, I gave a lecture
Okay.
on my whole idea of we dance how we live. And so really what happened was, I had everybody moving and grooving. And then I gave the talk and people responded to it. And then a guy came up to me. His name was James, I believe. And he said, so shout out to James, because that was awesome. He came over to me and said, yo, what you have to say, more people need to hear, especially here in Denmark. And I'm like, oh, yeah, you're right. And and he was like, you know what? He's like, my partner, she's a volunteer for TEDx in Aarhus. I'm going to recommend you. And I was like, wow, man, that would be awesome, But it was one of those conversations where, it's like, cool. In the moment, you don't really think about it after you leave. It's like, especially in my line of work, there's always conversations of, hey, we should, I'm gonna, you should, all that. So,
Sweet Lord, so it's like with everyone. I have the same experience.
Yeah,
there is so
exactly.
many, we should and I'm gonna, and most of it's just like,
Yeah.
it's just set and not
most
done.
of it is BS, like, most of it is just small talk in the moment, or that emotional high in the moment.
Yeah.
And so, but sometime later, and I told a couple of people about it, like, oh yeah, this guy. And I think a couple of people actually went on to TEDx Aarhus also, the website, and also recommended me, which was cool. And then next thing you know, I got an email from them saying, hey, we would like to interview you and see if you're a fit for the speakers panel. And and I totally bombed that interview. I was, oh my God, like I was the worst. Like they like, so tell me about this idea. And I got the one who's like the one who runs the whole thing.
Yeah.
She's staring at me.
Anna?
Anna, yes. Anna, shout out to you, Anna, sorry. She's staring at me with that very Anna, I run this kind of look. She's the boss. Then I got my curator, Belen, and she ended up being my curator. But they're staring there, and they're just looking at me. And Balen's cute because she was smiling. So she was when I needed to feel comforted or like that, I looked at her. But then Anna, she was just sitting there with just a stare, just like, impress me.
Entertain me.
Yeah, so I'm talking and I'm trying to explain. I'm stumbling like blip, blap, ba-doop, blip, we dance how we live, cuz blip, blap, ba-doop. And so then she was like, well, how would you show it? And I was like, cool, I could do this. This is where I shine. I said, okay, guys, stand up with me. So I stand up, Belen stands up, Anna's like... so
yeah, for those of you on TV, you can see what's the Anna pose.
Yeah, she just arms folded, just like I'm not saying. I later found out it's because she was at work, but in that moment I was intimidated, and just all the energy in my groove was just like Okay, so I was like, okay, that's a fail, and then they wrote me back and said, yo. We think what you have to say is very important, and we want to use it for, and we think you're going to be a perfect fit for the panels and the idea that we have for this year.
Okay.
And and that's how it happened. And I was just totally floored and did not understand how. I felt like the only thing I said was we dance how we live and nothing else. But they understood. And I have to say this last thing is that the curator team is amazing. At bringing it out of you. Theodore, Anton, Belen, they are just incredible at bringing out the best in you and getting you focused for the talk. And they saw that. So, and because they see what your idea is, they believe in you, and they know not everybody is good at getting it down and speaking. So they have faith in me, and I was like, wow. And all of us, actually. And all of us, I think, did really well, thanks in part to them.
Yeah, actually, we of course we were there, as you already know from our introduction, and we actually have a footage where we interview you, Bryce, and other speakers
Yes.
and audience, aka volunteers, but not really, and also organizers. So we will be
curators.
and curators. So we will be releasing that in the near future.
Nice.
But we of course saw you live, and
Oh, wait, sorry. Funny story. I have to say this. Funny story. Sorry. Sorry, Dennis. Because Balin, who was my curator, she
Yeah.
was like my, like, what you call like my mentor throughout the
Yeah.
process. I didn't find out till at the end after everything, and because she couldn't be there, so she called me to follow up and see how everything went. And I just found out from her that the guy that recommended me from the workshop I did in Copenhagen is her partner. They ended up getting married, and I knew that they got married. I knew she was getting married. I didn't know the who, or I thought I didn't know the who, and all that stuff. They got married. She did blah blah blah, all this stuff, and then I find out after everything, he was the one. So I just thought that was a really funny story. That not only was he the one that recommended me, but I also ended up being curated and mentored by his wife, so who he recommended me to, and it was just interesting how I just thought that was funny because I just found that out like a week or two ago.
okay.
So, sorry.
Yeah, no.
Coincidence?
I don't
so.
think so.
Yeah.
I don't
No.
think so. I think this is A,
They-
synchronicity, B, conspiracy, C, a great luck. But anyway, thank you for the story because it is actually, sometimes you just make those connections and you are like, what? Really? That happened? So thanks a lot for that, Bryce.
Yeah.
I have seen your speech. Marta have seen your speech. And I have to say we were really impressed because one thing that we learned on TEDx from the speakers is that you are usually scripted. So you have a script to follow and you have to say things as you agreed and you are rehearsing this until you die. And you... That's okay. This is a radio. You can cough, but do it to the wall. So very, very good instincts you have. And I have to say that your speech seemed very natural. Like it wasn't rehearsed in a way that you memorize it. It was very flowy, very authentic, and it had elements of dance. And I'm not sure if it's available already on YouTube or no, it's not yet. When it will, we will of course post it on our website and on our social media because it was a really, really a treat. So congratulations on the speech. It was really something. Marta?
Yeah, well, I have been, after your speech, I was talking to the audience, I was talking to other people, and many people have really mentioned you as the surprise of the day, that they were really like moved by your talk. So, and I think that it's quite amazing to actually build a dance into a speech without music.
Yeah.
Because it's quite a thing to dance without music. I think this is like that was amazing. That
and it
really
was
great.
very well incorporated. It made sense. It wasn't like you. Okay, so and after this part, I will show you something. No, it was like a storytelling with an element of dance. So that was really great. And
what's funny is that actually that's how I actually planned it to be. Because I was so focused that I was being a speaker that I actually planned it to where I would say, and now I'm going to show you. And it was actually Balin who said, let's take the part out and just bring the dance in. So I credit her to that because actually I was going to be like overdoing it with the setup and stuff like that. So, it came across good, because of that.
It came across great because it looked very flowy and very authentic. So before we will get to the challenge of the week, the last question, Bryce, how did you ended up here today in a little radio station in Viby, Jutland?
Yeah. Well, you guys left a very lasting impression on me after because you like. Yeah,
I hope for a good reason.
Like no. Like it's y'all don't understand. Like they just there is no. I don't want to say there's no filter, but they just is like they they have tunnel vision, and they don't see nothing or nobody else. Hey, we wanna talk to you. Come over here. Like I was in the middle of talking to everybody, doing after, and they just broke through. Like, yo, we need you over here in about 1 minute. We're doing somebody, and like they're just and like. They don't have like 0 to 60. They go from like 60 to 100. And so it was like this, it was just constantly like that. And I was just, when me and, who was with me that day? Was it?
Sarah?
Sarah, yeah, exactly. When me and Sarah were standing there and they were just like, boom, wow, boom, wow. And like, it's just high energy and they just hitting you with questions that you're like, oh, but okay, that's a real question. So I loved it. And so I was like, okay, and the name was easy to remember. So then I looked up You Got 5 Options on my Google podcast, John. And John is a word from Philly, by the way. I can explain that later. But and so I was listening to a couple episodes and I was like, wow, they just like never turned down. Like even in their description, if they sent me an email, professional email, but even in the professional email was just like turned up the way they just word things and just say, hey, yeah, we abandon our kids and our partners and we just do it's authentic all the way through. So I'm just like, yo, I gotta sit. I want to one day hopefully sit with these guys. And I just told them that, just like, yo, it would be dope to sit with y'all. And then y'all responded like, yeah, for sure. And I was like, oh, okay. And so it happened like that.
So we didn't really need to kidnap you all that much. You have actually volunteered.
No.
Well, that was apparently an overreaction from my side. However, I would like to say that I felt I was quite polite when I ambushed you from the because I remember you were standing with people and you were in the middle of a conversation and I was like, okay, I'm a little person and not so loud, so I have to sneak in. And then I thought that I apologized to everyone. I apologized to everyone who was having a conversation with Bryce that I have kidnapped him for the interview, but
but that was your job, so no apologies. Your job was to get me there and do that interview, so
yes,
and we did it.
And here we are today, guys. So, Bryce, we will ask you some more things, but they will go to other segments of our show.
Okay.
And Dennis, I think it's time for our next jingle.
A very challenging challenge of the week.
Y'all picked some really good music, man. Sorry. Y'all picked some really
Challenge. Well, I would like to say that we actually attempt sometimes to sing. We also have a secret plan to become the next Milli Vanilli.
Okay.
And just to...
It's a great ambition.
Yeah, I know. I know. But with our voices or the tools we possess, that's apparently the only option for us. However, yeah, that's a very cheerful intro to sometimes quite... I would say serious topics we are discussing because in the segment challenge of the week we usually discuss some sort of a life challenges or career challenges or even existential challenges. So I have asked you, Bryce, to prepare before you will come one challenge, and I know that you actually had quite a lot of challenge because I remember your speech very clearly, and I was also surprised by the level of the vulnerability that you showed on a stage because you talked about things that many people wouldn't like to talk about. You know, your relationship with your dad or other stuff like this. So there is a lot to choose from, but I know that you overcome many of those challenges. Yeah. So I asked you to pick one challenge that you consider the most significant for any reason in your life, and how did you overcome it, or you are still overcoming it?
The biggest challenge in my life right now is the one that I'm currently in, which is restoring my family. I mean the family dynamic of me and my son's mother, being together. Restoring that, rebuilding the trust, and regaining, my integrity, both as a man and as a husband.
Oh, that is actually quite a quite a challenge, quite a topic, to be honest. I don't even know where to start. I was not expecting that because that was not in a speech. Very nice, Bryce. So you like to... Very nice, Bryce. Oh my God, it's an unintended rhyme that I'm not now pulling. But
My name does that.
yes, it has that magnetic effect on the rhyming. Coming back to seriousness of it, I think this is something that many people could definitely sympathize with or actually find themselves in exactly this situation. I'm divorced myself, so that is quite tough. Can you tell us a little bit more about this?
Yeah, well, I talked about it a little bit at the end of my talk, and I just mentioned how, like, you know, when I mentioned how my family, you know, a lot of the ways I was acting broke up and destroyed or ruined my family. Basically what happened was just out of the pure selfishness of self-survival with everything that I talked about in my talk. I don't want to make it seem like excuses, so I won't bring it up now. But basically, I got so selfish to the point where I ended up having an affair. I kind of like got weak and lacked integrity in the tough moments of what was going on. Afraid of being a good dad, not being confident in being a good husband, and being sure about what love is and looks like to me because of what I've seen love to be growing up. So all those things, instead of, you know, communicating that with the one person, you know, that I should be able to communicate that with, you know, instead I kept it from her. And, you know, the more I kept that from her, the more it forced me to keep other things from her. So a lot of things came into play, but, you know, once it all came out, because honestly, while I was in the affair, I didn't want to be in it, which is, I know some people are like, that doesn't even make sense. But, you know, while I was in it, I didn't want to be in it, but I just continued because I enjoyed the validation it gave me, you know, where I felt like I couldn't get it anywhere else. But I was desperate. Actually, there was one point where I was so desperate to get out of this false life I was living and creating for myself that I just looked up to God and said, yo, man, like, I can't do this anymore. I'm living foul towards my wife. I'm wearing masks with every person I come in contact with. I don't even know who I am anymore. And I was like, I feel like I don't have the power to do this. So I was like, yo, if you up there, then help me, because I can't do this no more. And a week later, she found out. Everything came out. And, you know, that's where it all changed for me, because I got kicked out the house, and rightly so. And I was sitting in my friend's extra room. Well, he's not so much of a friend now. That's a different story. But I was sitting in his room that they let me stay in, and I just realized that what I'm facing is life or death. And for some people, it might sound drastic. So what I mean is that if I continued down the pattern I was going, it was going to either be it's going to lead to death, whether it's death spiritually and emotionally or physically, you know, no matter what, because it was such a reckless life. Because at the same time, I was drugs and pills, like weed and pills and alcohol. And that was like every night. Soon as her and my son went to sleep, I go downstairs, roll one up, pour one, or if there's a painkiller, take that as well. And I was just going down fast.
Okay, I have to say that, and correct me if I'm wrong, because first of all, thank you for opening up like this. I was not expecting that. And it's a lot of bravery in your story and in sharing your story. But you mentioned that at one point you were just sitting there and talking to God or praying, you know, do something, you know, I cannot live like this anymore. And you said that a week later your wife has found out. Would you say that in a way that was an answer to your prayers?
Oh, it definitely was. I'm a Christian, and I haven't been always living like one. But I got my life right at that, and when that happened, because I realized what he said, I was building my life up, you know, to the outside world, like I was my own God. so to speak. I was living this life, and presenting on Instagram and stuff, this whole picture that wasn't really happening.